Wait, before you scroll past this, listen. There's a moment they're carrying right now that they haven't told anyone about. It happened at a small gathering. The kind nobody plans. The kind that just becomes something. Someone there, a mutual friend, leaned over and said your name. Not in a question, in a statement. You know they still talk about you, right? And your person, the one who's been holding everything inside, who's been pretending the silence between you was just life moving on, froze, mid-sip, mid-law, mid-pretending. Their face shifted before they could catch it. And the friend saw it. Everyone at that table saw it. That's where this begins. Now let me pull back, because I want you to hear this the way it's actually meant to land. Not as drama, but as something quieter. Something true. This person loves you. That part isn't in question. But there's something about the way you present yourself, the way you hold yourself, the way you carry your softness, the way you almost shrink in certain moments, that bothers them in a way they don't have language for yet. It's not a flaw they see. It's not something they want you to change to please them. It's something deeper than that. They look at you, even from a distance, even through memory, and they think, why don't they know how much they are? That's the bother, that's the ache. They see you dimming yourself, and a part of them aches, because they recognize that you don't fully see what they see. And tonight, sitting in that chair with their name still warm on the friend's tongue, that ache cracked open. Let me bring you closer into the room. It was a Tuesday, one of those nothing nights that ends up meaning everything. 4 or 5 people, take-out containers on the counter, someone's playlist going in the background. The kind of evening where guards come down because nobody's performing. They were leaning against the kitchen island, half listening, half checking out, when the conversation drifted, the way it always does, toward who's still around, who's not, who used to be. And then the friend, the one who's known them longest, said it. You know they still talk about you, right? Like, still, not in a bitter way. Just, they still talk about you. Silence, not the polite kind. The kind that hangs. Your person looked down at their cup, and for a second their thumb pressed too hard against the rim. They didn't say anything. They couldn't. Because in that moment, every wall they'd built, every careful little story they'd been telling themselves about why this distance was fine, why it made sense, why you were probably already over it, collapsed. You weren't over it. And they hadn't been either. They just got better at hiding it. Have you ever had someone speak about you when you weren't in the room, and somehow felt it from miles away? That low hum in your chest tonight. That strange heaviness that came out of nowhere, that wasn't random. Something shifted in the space between you two, even if neither of you can name it yet. Here's what I want you to know about the way they reacted. They didn't argue with the friend. They didn't deflect with a joke. They didn't say, yeah, well, that's the past. They just sat there. And then, and this is the part that matters, they excused themselves for a few minutes, stepped outside, stood under that yellow porch light, the one that flickers a little, and just breathed. That's when the first crack happened, because standing out there, with the air cooler than they expected, they did the one thing they'd been refusing to do for weeks. They thought about you fully, not the convenient version of you that fit their story, the real you. The one who used to text them small things. The one who paid attention to the details everyone else missed. The one who, when they were quiet, didn't push, just stayed. And the bother surfaced again. That thing about you they couldn't name. It came to them like this. They always made themselves smaller around me. That was the thought. Not bitter, not analytical. Just true. They remembered the way you'd shrink in certain rooms, certain conversations. The way you'd defer when you didn't need to defer. The way you'd apologize for taking up space when no apology was owed. And what they realized, standing out there on that porch, was that this softness, this gentleness in you that they had quietly loved, was also the thing you used to disappear with. They never told you they noticed. That's the regret cutting through them tonight. If this message is finding you at the right moment, comment "I receive this love," like the video, and subscribe. There's more coming for you. Okay, let's keep going because we're nowhere near done. When they walked back inside, they did what people do when they're rattled. They overcorrected, laughed a little too loud at the next joke, picked their cup back up, acted normal. But the friend was still watching them. The friend knew. That's how it goes with the people who've known you longest. You can't fake your way past them. The conversation moved on. Someone put on a different song, plates got cleared. And about 20 minutes later, your person made an excuse to leave early. They didn't drive home right away. They sat in the car for a long time first. And I want you to picture this because it's important. Just them, the dashboard lights, the quiet engine, and a phone in their lap that they didn't open. They wanted to. They almost did. Their thumb hovered over your name in their contacts. Yes, you're still there. You've always been there. And then they locked the screen. Twice. Then unlocked it again. Then locked it. That little dance people do when their heart is telling them one thing and their pride is telling them another. They didn't text you that night, but here's what I need you to hear. The fact that they didn't reach out doesn't mean nothing happened. Something happened. Something real. The version of them that was carefully managing this distance. That person is gone now. They can't put themselves back together that way. The friend's words pulled a thread, and the whole sweater is coming undone. Have you noticed your own shift today? A heaviness around your chest, maybe. A name surfacing in your mind without warning. A song that hit different. That moment when you almost typed something and then put your phone away. None of that is coincidence. You're feeling them feel you. This is what longing looks like when it's mutual and unspoken. Both of you in different rooms, different lights, different nights wrapped around the same silence. Neither of you knowing the other one is doing it. That's the hum. That's the strange ache in the air right now. Two people missing each other from opposite sides of the same darkness. And the universe, in its quiet way, is starting to bend the lines back toward each other. Let me slow down for a second. I know how this kind of message can feel. Like maybe it's too much. Like maybe you've been here before, wanting to believe something is shifting, and nothing came of it. I understand that. I'm not asking you to grip this with both hands. I'm asking you to let it sit in you. Just sit. The truth doesn't need your urgency to be true. What this person sees in you, that thing they can't quite name about how you present yourself, it isn't a criticism. I want to be clear about that, because it's easy to read it that way. They love you. They love the softness. They love the way your eyes go quiet when you're really listening. They love the way you laugh at things other people miss. The bother isn't you. The bother is that you've been treating yourself like something that needs to be earned, like you have to perform smallness to be loved. And they see it, and it pains them, because they wanted you to know, wanted to tell you, never figured out how, that you didn't have to do that with them. That was the unfinished sentence between you two, the one that's been sitting in their chest for longer than they want to admit. Okay, now we get to the part most people don't see coming. Because if it was just one moment at one dinner, it would already be enough. But it isn't just one moment. Later that same night, around midnight, something else happened. They were lying in bed, lights off, phone face down, because they were trying, really trying, to not check it. And it buzzed. Once, then again. They told themselves they wouldn't look. They looked. It was the friend. A follow-up, the friend had written something like, "Hey, I didn't mean to put you on the spot earlier, but I think you should know they asked about you a few weeks ago. I just didn't say anything because I wasn't sure if you'd want to hear it." Your person stared at that message for a long time. You asked about them a few weeks ago. Maybe it was a small ask. Maybe it was a sideways question. The kind you slip into a conversation when you don't want anyone to know how much you wanted to ask it. Maybe you don't even remember doing it. But you did, and it got back to them. Tonight. After they had spent an entire evening trying to act like none of this was getting to them. That second message broke something open in them that the dinner couldn't reach, because the dinner they could brush off as old loyalty, old habits, mutual friends saying old things. But this was you, still thinking about them, still asking, still keeping the door open without making a sound about it. They sat up in bed, turned the lamp on, and then they did something they hadn't done in months. They opened the photos, not the camera roll, the actual album. The one they had told themselves they archived for closure but never deleted, because deep down they knew they wouldn't be able to. The first picture made them laugh quietly into the empty room. You were mid-sentence in that picture, hair a little messy, wearing something completely unremarkable. And yet, they sat there in the lamplight staring at a photo of you in a moment you probably don't even remember being captured in, and they felt the truth of it all the way down. I haven't moved on. I just learned how to function without admitting I haven't. That's the line that hit them tonight. That's the line that's hitting you too, if you let it sit. Have you been doing the same thing? Functioning, doing the days, doing the routines, doing the polite version of yourself in front of the people who think you've handled it well. While underneath all of it, there's a quiet voice saying this isn't done yet. Because that voice has been louder this week, hasn't it? That's not your imagination. That's not weakness. That's truth working its way up through layers of careful denial. You too have been holding the same unfinished thing. From opposite ends of the same silence. Now here's where I want to be gentle. Because there's a part of you that's already racing ahead. A part of you that wants to know, what does this mean? What happens next? When will they reach out? What do? I want you to slow down. I want you to put both feet on the floor for a second. Notice your breath. Because the part that comes next isn't about strategy. It isn't about whether you should text them first. It isn't about reading the signs and trying to manage the outcome. The part that comes next is about you understanding what's actually true. And what's actually true is this. Someone has been quietly carrying you. They have not stopped. They got better at hiding it, even from themselves. And tonight, two separate things. A sentence from a friend and a follow-up message cracked open the small, careful container they had built around their feelings for you. They can't seal it again. They've tried. They couldn't even seal it for one night. That's a different kind of love than the loud kind. That's the love that survives without performance. The love that goes underground for a while, that pretends it's gone, and then surfaces when everything else falls quiet enough for it to be heard. And the bother, that thing about the way you present yourself, is the bridge. It's the doorway. It's the thing they want to say to you when they finally do reach out, even if they don't say it cleanly. They want you to know that you don't have to make yourself small to fit into their life. They want you to know they noticed when you did. They want you to know that the thing you thought made you easier to love is actually the thing that broke their heart a little, because they saw you doing it and didn't know how to say, please don't. That's what they're going to bring back to you. Not in those exact words, maybe. People rarely speak that cleanly, when something is finally real. But that's the shape of it. That's the truth underneath whatever sentence eventually comes out of their mouth. Now, about the reaching out. I won't lie to you and say it's tomorrow. I won't pretend to know the day. What I will tell you is that something has shifted on their end that they cannot undo. They were sitting in a constructed peace, and that peace just collapsed in the span of one evening. They will not be able to go back to functioning the way they were yesterday. The container is cracked. Whether they reach out in a week or 3, the direction of their drift has already changed. It's moving back toward you now, slowly, hesitantly, with a lot of overthinking, but it's moving. And on your side, you don't have to chase anything. I want you to hear that clearly. You don't have to make a single move. You don't have to send a clever message or position yourself or play any kind of game. The pull that's happening right now is not something you have to engineer. It's already in motion. What I will ask of you is something different and harder. Stop shrinking. That's the work that belongs to you in this window. Stop apologizing for taking up space in your own life. Stop softening every sentence before you say it. Stop dimming the light that drew them in to begin with. Not for them, for you. Because the version of you that finally meets them again, whenever that happens, doesn't need to be performing smallness anymore. That version doesn't need to perform anything. That version can sit across from them and just be, fully, without flinching. That's the version they've been missing. That's the version that's been waiting underneath. There's a line that's been showing up in different forms across the last few thousand years. And I'm only going to bring it up once, because it fits here without forcing. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. A small beginning is a friend's offhand sentence at a Tuesday dinner. A small beginning is a follow-up message at midnight. A small beginning is you reading something tonight and feeling your shoulders drop, even slightly, even just an inch. That's how these things start, not with thunder, with a porch light flickering and someone breathing out, and a quiet realization that they don't want to keep pretending. I want you to picture them one more time before we close this. Picture them lying back down after they put the phone away. Lamp off, eyes open in the dark. Thinking about you in a way they would not have admitted to themselves 12 hours ago. Wondering, the way people do at midnight, whether you're up to, whether you're thinking about them, whether some part of you can feel this. You can. That's why you're here. That's why this video showed up tonight instead of yesterday. And if you've made it this far, I want you to take one slow breath with me. Not because anything spiritual demands it, just because your body has been holding something all day, and it's allowed to set it down for a moment. There, that's better. Notice how the heaviness shifts just slightly when you stop bracing against it. That's what tonight is about for both of you. A small unbracing, a loosening of the grip you each had on the story that said you were done. You're not done. Neither are they. And the bother, that thing about the way you present yourself, is going to be a conversation one day. Not an argument. A conversation. A quiet one. The kind that happens in a kitchen, or in a car, or in a slow walk, where neither person wants to look directly at the other, because the truth is too tender for direct eye contact. They'll say something close to, "I wish you knew what I saw," and you'll feel something old release inside you when they do. That conversation is coming, maybe not soon, but coming. In the meantime, hold yourself the way they would want to hold you, not as someone who needs to earn their place, but as someone who already has one. Eat the meal, take the walk. Laugh at the thing that made you laugh. Stop apologizing into the middle of your own sentences. Stop turning down the volume of who you are in case someone finds you too much. You were never too much. You were exactly enough. And the only person who ever needed to fully receive that was you. They're going to come back to that table eventually. But your job isn't to wait at the table. Your job is to keep being the kind of person worth coming back to, which you already are, which you have always been, which they have always known, even when they were doing a beautiful job of pretending otherwise. So tonight, when you put your phone down, when the house gets quiet, when you lie back and feel that low hum in your chest one more time, let it be. Don't fight it. Don't reach for it. Don't try to interpret it. Just let it be there. Because that hum is the proof. Two people in two different rooms missing each other in the same silence. Neither one fully sure the other one is doing it. Both of them somehow doing it anyway. That's not nothing. That's almost everything. And what they're beginning to realize now is something they can't walk away from anymore. Not this time.